Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Brough Guitars Review. Today we're going to be discussing part 3 in our series of the wonderful thing that is known as the Tonex pedal. But before we get into it, guys, can we just acknowledge something really quick here? Something that I thought was improbable, impossible, that has kept me on cloud 12 billion for some time. Whew. The Indiana Hoosiers are natty champs, baby. They're natty champs. Who would have thought? I mean, as an Indiana fan, I mean, is that not the greatest thing ever? I mean, to be an Indiana Hoosier fan was a bucket list of mine to see a national title in something. Literally any sport within my lifetime. Yes, we're predominantly a basketball school, but who would have thought the Indiana Hoosiers would have won the natty in friggin' football? Let's flip and go, baby!
8. He's going to take off and run. Mendoza weaves his way first and goal. Diving toward the end zone. Touchdown!
It's just been a great time to be alive. I mean, I'm beside myself. Kudos to Miami for trying, as well as the other 15 teams. But there's only room for one at the top, and that's Indiana. And I'm so flabbergasted, guys. So, to relive the moment of Fernando Mendoza diving into the freaking end zone was just everything to me. And I could just hear the Hoosiers theme music playing in my head during that moment. I mean, tears of joy, guys. It's been unreal. But I'm a huge Indiana Hoosier fan, so I had to just get that off my chest. Oh, we are national champions. I'm just too excited. Indiana Hoosiers, baby. Go Hoosiers! So anyway, guys, since I digressed, if you've stayed with me this long, the opening music was Beluchitherium, which I absolutely love and adore with all my soul. I love the tone that Eddie was able to get on the entire album of Balance. That came straight out of Tonex, and I've been so excited to talk about part 3 of the Tonex series because it was mentioned to me again by my buddy Brian as he was kind of walking me through when I got this pedal, because it did seem kind of daunting in the beginning, but he was kind of walking me through the pedal, all right, and we came across this thing that's known as ToneNet, and ToneNet really changed the pedal for me, because again, I got the pedal because of the brown sound patches from Jim Gosta, as I'd mentioned in the parts before. That was the whole reason why I got the pedal. I love those 78 tones, but my personal favorite tones was For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge and Balance. I kind of go between the two as far as those as like my favorite tones of all time, Van Halen. And again, I go through spurts where I only want like the old 78 tones or whatever, stuff like that. I just thought to myself, I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if on Tonex they had a balanced tone or a For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge type sound?
And boy,
did I find it the first thing that I happen to type into good old ToneNet. And it's just what it essentially is. It's like where users like me, you, anyone who has access to IK Multimedia, and specifically, downloaded the Amplitude software like we talked about in our last video. You guys remember the Holy Trinity that I had mentioned before, Amplitude being part of it, and that's where you would actually find ToneNet. So here in a minute, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go through, and I'm going to show you exactly where ToneNet is. And today's going to be a lot of playing because I want you guys to be able to hear the different sound samples that you can find within ToneNet. So again, ToneNet is basically for any user to kind of like upload in the ethos these different patches that you yourself can actually edit and save onto your computer on your hard drive or within the software itself. But it's kind of like Halo Forge. I don't know if you guys remember that, where you could kind of like custom make a map and then share it out on the internet for other players to use your map, play on the map, and do all that. Or like The Sims, where you can just basically create, an environment where other players can come in and join you. It's the same thing. That's why it's like probably why it's called ToneNet, because it's the Tone network within ToneX. I know, makes sense, right? So the capabilities of this are completely just utterly endless. And we're going to dive into it further, but again, that's pretty much what ToneNet is. So without further ado, no more talking from me with the exception of telling you how to get to this super awesome ToneNet, man. Let's just get into this. Okay, let's go. So what you want to do sorry, the Indiana Hoosiers are national champions, guys. It's crazy. Okay, so we're going to pull up our good old amplitude here. We're going to let it do its, its little thinking thing here. So you're going to bring it up. Excuse me. So if you could click up here in the top right-hand corner where it says ToneNet, okay? Now, ToneNet is going to look something like this. These are already just some things that happen to exist, okay? But the most important thing is that you can look at while my computer's thinking about what it wants to do here, because it's uploading all these different patches right now. There we go. So right up here in this search bar on this top left-hand side, you can literally type in anything that you can think of and see what it happens to find. So again, for me, the very first thing that I happened to put in was, the balance tone. So I go here and I put in balance, maybe balance EVH, something along those lines. Go ahead and hit enter, and then this pulls up an 80 metals distortion, but that's not what I'm looking for. So again, if I just put in balance, because with the searches, it's like you can almost get too specific. So if you give it more of like a broad thing, because you don't know what these people are labeling these presets under. But like what you had heard earlier for the Blue Chitherium is this EVH balance tone right here. And again, just kind of like we talked about in the last video, when you look along the right-hand side, over here you can see that all the likes. So like this guy, like I said, has got 80s metal. That was the first one that we happen to find. It's got 177 likes. You got one down here that says balanced high and low death metal degent. That's 385 likes. I don't have my glasses, 388. You got Van Halen Amsterdam tone right here. Eddie Van Halen balance tour. Van Halen balance tone. So you can try all these. So like, let's click on this Van Halen balance tour. So when I click on it, down here at the very bottom, you can see the exact rig that it happens to have set up. Now, the thing to keep in mind when you're pulling up these presets, guys, is you can play your direct sound, obviously, through it. However, like we talked about in the last part, where you might hear that ksh, 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 every 5-10 seconds, it's because something within this rig is not unlocked, meaning it hasn't been purchased. So when you go back to the beginning of Amplitude, where I showed you this down here in this bottom right-hand corner where it says oil can delay, you'll see that lock on there. So when you're looking at these presets through the ToneNet, as we go back, and you pull up your rig or whatever, and again, I'm just going to pull up balance, but when you pull the rig up and it shows the very bottom exactly what's in it as far as the signal chain, you might see that lock on one of these pedals, if not a cabinet or a head, and that's where you get that static noise. And so you're probably thinking, okay, well, how do I unlock it? So if you actually click on it, it will show you how much the pedal costs by itself. But note, warning. This is going to save you money. Do not purchase the pedal by pedal by pedal. Like for instance, this rig, look, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or I can't count, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pedals within this rig, not including the amp heads or the cabinets, because it's set up to be a wet, dry, wet setup, just like the old balance tone. But those pedals, if you sat there and you bought them one by one, they're like $20, $30 a piece. And again, we're talking virtual pedals, guys, $20, $30 a piece. So what you can do is you can actually pull up your IK Multimedia. You can pull this up down here, and then you can actually go through here and you can actually pay to unlock the Amplitude. I think it's Amplitude. It's Amplitude Max, I believe is what I'm looking at. I can't remember because it's been a month ago. But it was Amplitude Max, and when you purchase that, I think it's like $100. It's gonna unlock everything within Amplitude, with the exception. Now you saw that there's that oil delay, so I'm assuming that's new. So maybe there's a different version of Amplitude that I could upgrade to get that if that's what I wanted, or again buy the pedal by itself. But why, spend $20, $30 on that when if you're getting this, you want to play this whole rig and the majority of everything else for $100, you're saving yourself the money. So why not go down that route, right? Let me blow this up here again. So, you're going to have this here. And then if you're hearing that static, it just means you unlock it. You just do the purchase and then play your heart out. And then you can literally just get completely lost. And I mean, searching for this stuff. Like let's look up Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm just going to put it in SRV. And of course, look, there's a rig right here. Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's got 37 likes. Looks like it's going into like what, 2 deluxe reverbs or something. I don't have my glasses. A tube screamer, relative to what he would have played. You got again like a Dumble inspired one here, And again, some of these amp heads might actually be locked because maybe they're part of one of another artist collection through Tone X, which you would have to then purchase as well. But honestly, the Amplitude stuff, once you pay the $100 to unlock essentially everything, there are amps that come so close to these tones, it's crazy. And these people over here where it says user, when you go down, like if you just click, if you like this particular patch this person put out, you can actually click on the person, and then it's actually going to bring up other things that they happen to make that you might like. So obviously, look, he's an Eric Clapton fan over here, and he's got, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. That's his patch. He's got his Dumble patch, and then he's like a Dirty Blues patch. So, if you're really liking these people, that's all stuff that, you can take a look at. And yeah, I mean, like I said, the possibilities are endless. But again, today I don't want to talk as much. I'd like to just, let you hear the sounds. So when you go back, what you can do is like, let's say, I don't know, I liked one of these SRV tones or something or whatever. Let's just see. Let's go. Like this one's got 47 likes, scuttle button, whatever. So if you go over here to the likes tab, you kind of click like. Now see it shows 48 where it was at 47 before. And then if I go over here on my left-hand side, it's going to say liked presets. And then when I go to these like presets, well, looky right there. It's the most recent one, the Stevie Ray Vaughan tone, where it says Texas Flood, Scuttle Button, Pride and Joy. So there he is. So now these are all of the tones that I've gone through and just was like, man, I really like these, or this would be cool for the video or whatever else. So, pretty much up to this point now, I'd like for you to just be able to, hear some of the tones. And another thing you have to keep in mind is when you're clicking on these different patches, you got to really watch the, dB levels on some of this stuff, because it could actually damn near blow your monitors out. So where it says output down here in the bottom right, as you're playing through, it might just be playing super, super crazy loud and on the verge of blowing your speakers, or you're gonna it's gonna be pushing your the output too hard, so it's gonna sound muddy, especially if you're trying to record or something. So just keep in mind of your output levels. You can adjust the decibel levels here with a slider, just going left and right to your liking of your ears, and just make sure everything's kosher. Otherwise, you're going to have ear damage like me and can't hear a damn thing. So let's go ahead and just dive into some tones here so you guys can just kind of hear how it sounds. So let's go ahead and let's pull up this slash clean tone right here. Now, let's check out this EVH balance tone. This is the same one that you heard earlier, but I'm going to play a different tune with this one. And to my ears, guys, I mean these sounds are getting within the ballpark, if not, damn near spot on. So you guys let me know what you think about this up to this point so far down in the comments. What you think, if you think it's crap or you think it's pretty close. I'm interested to see what you guys think because all I can hear is through my ears, so I don't know. Now this next one I think is really close to the off this album as well. So let's go ahead and try this next one for Nutshell. So now here's one of my favorite Van Halen tones of all time, which is off the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. So sorry about that right there, but that's how it's spelled. So here we go. Let's take a listen to this one. again, guys, I mean, I I think that's pretty damn close in my own personal opinion. But let's just keep it going. Let's go ahead and go on to Surfing with an Alien by the good old Joe Satriani. Now, this next one here, I honestly just did it because it said Winger on it. There wasn't really a whole lot of things up to this point that had Winger, so we gave it a shot. It's okay. I'd say it's more so for just kind of like an 80s overall, but again, not all the patches are the greatest. This one's okay in my mind. And again, guys, when it comes to these patches, I'm not doing anything to alter these at all. These are just completely stock. The only one that I'd actually kind of vaguely changed was the balance tone that I had. I just upped the gain on all three amps. It was like 7.9 as a start, and I went up to 8.5 on everything because it was kind of choking out on some notes, and I think that was just because of all the effects that was on that patch. But let's go ahead and take a look at this, or let's go ahead and take a listen to this next one, because I mean, who doesn't like, Welcome to the Jungle? Another great tune here. I mean, who didn't like this back in the 90s, you know? Now, this one I think is really good. I mean, it sounds damn near like the record. It's got 347 likes, and this is Crazy Train. And another thing I like about Amplitude is when you look here on the left-hand side under icon, you see the amp heads. I mean, look, that's clearly, their version of a Soldano. So This is some George Lynch here. Who didn't like George Lynch with the Dokken days? Another one of my all-time favorite guitarists. This is just kind of like an overall, general tone of Billy Gibbons, but I mean, why not Billy Gibbons? I also wanted to be able to throw in some legendary clean tones in here off of some, pretty big hits slash albums, artists. So let me know what you guys think about this one. Love this song by The Police. Every Breath You Take. And for a lot of us, some of our first rock songs were AC/DC. So I mean, we had to try to give AC/DC some chances here. This one's got 255 likes, so good old Thunderstruck. I really like Lenny Kravitz. I figured he'd kind of be like a one-off that maybe most people wouldn't think of, but we're going to try to give that a sound. Let's check it out. Led Zeppelin. I mean, one of the most legendary bands of all time. You know what songs we had to try. And here's a Hysteria clean sound from, like, obviously Def Leppard when they were using the Rockmen and all that. So let's see how close that sounds. And then, of course, I mean, who doesn't like Journey? They had so many hits, but one of my favorite B-roll songs that they ever had was Stone in Love. So let's give that one a try. All right, guys. So as you got to hear, all those tones, I'm really curious to know what you thought, about those. Did we get close to any of them? Which ones were your favorite? Again, those are just some of the ones that I happened to skim across and I liked. Obviously, you can record, as you heard, directly because I am using the Tonex as my interface. It works great. No problems, no issues. I will say that, if you get to kind of get a little bit too click happy everywhere, that the system will actually crash on occasion. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Again, it's a lot of information, but when it does crash, it's just a matter of just either letting it think its way through, kind of like you saw it do a couple times when I was saying searching for ToneNet, or, when I get the little color wheel of death, I just exit out of it, I get right back into it, and then, go from there. So, maybe save often if you are trying to work on a longer song that you have a lot of parts in or whatever. But again, you can do multi-track recording. You can record with all of the wet signal from all these patches. One of the downsides to ToneNet, though, is like, let's say you really like a patch and you want to use it on a live rig. You're not going to be able to upload any patch from ToneNet into the Tonex pedal. So the ToneNet is really just that. It's on the internet. It's just strictly for you to use while you're using, the software. Now, if you're to use the Tonex software, that can be directly uploaded within the pedal, the actual Tonex icon that you have on your computer. You can use that to upload into your Tonex pedal. But again, to have a split signal of wet, dry, wet, you got chorus, flange, all these delays, all this different stuff. Again, you can be a mad scientist with it, but you can't just upload it on the Tonex pedal, which is a downside. As far as creativity, which is where I think this really can just open your anything you could possibly want, is just it's going to outstretch your imagination, because you can do anything that you want. You can You can find legendary tones for the fraction of the cost. You don't have to put a bunch of money into some giant rig like I have over mine over here, like I showed you before. These tones are just literally at your fingertips. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to change a cable. You just hit the touchpad, mouse pad, whatever you click on it, and it's just immediately accessible to you. And then a lot of these people have already put in the work for you just to try to get in the ballpark of maybe these tones that you have in your head or you're looking for, or maybe a very specific sound like we listened to with Surfing with an Alien, or Every Breath You Take by the Police. Like all these songs that are super specific, for maybe even a certain part within a song. People have probably already thought about it, or maybe you could be the one to create it yourself and then share that into the internet. And everything on the ToneNet is free to keep in mind, but you will have to purchase, in my opinion, the Amplitude Upgraded Max software that's like $100 to be able to unlock all this stuff and just have it be endless possibilities for you. That's what got me really excited when Brian told me about this, and then the more I started diving into it, the more it just started to blow my mind. Because guys, for the money that I have already invested in up to this point, depending on where you're at in your journey with this, and we'll touch on that in part 4, what our final verdict is of this pedal. Is it worth it? Is it not? All pros and cons. That will be for that video, so please stay around for the next part. Be on the lookout for it. I really hope that this has helped you up to this point. Again, I have the bigger version of the Tone X pedal. I don't have the newest version, which is the white one. It looks something like this. Or even, the Tone 1 pedals, which are like the mini pedals to my understanding. I'm assuming that you can still do it with the software. I don't know if you can use those for interface for direct recording or anything like that. I doubt that you can, just because the amount of inputs that are on it. But again, I could be speaking on negligence, guys. I honestly don't know, because I don't have the small pedal, and I'm not going to speak on something I don't really know about or have an idea about. So maybe do your own further research on that. I think where this pedal really just makes itself known and what it's worth, and it's like an unspoken message silent in the wind that not many people are talking about. To me, even though it's AI and it's got a lot of capabilities, ToneNet is what I truly think is the epitome and the cream of the crop of this pedal. Just, again, for me, wow. That makes the pedal worth it alone, if you want a short-term answer. But again, in part 4, we're going to deep dive and discuss further as far as what our final thoughts are, all the things that we like, we don't like about it. I hope that it eases your mind as far as maybe thinking now about maybe purchasing the pedal or not. But like I said, if you want final verdict, just stick around. Again, I appreciate all your guys' support. As always, thank you for watching. Do whatever it is you do until next time. Indiana Hoosiers, national champions, baby. Let's go! Anyway, see you later. I'm out of here. Hey, in case you forgot, the Indiana Hoosiers are national champions, baby.